Indigenous designers are showcased in the Far North Fashion Show, drawing inspiration from their Alaska Native cultures with the theme, The Water Collection. Alaska has a coastline of more than 6,000 miles, and many Native communities are located along coasts and near lakes and rivers. Water is all around, in the rain, waves, frost, snow, and ice.
The color of the Kenai or some of our rivers like the Lil Sioux and the glaciers, I love that teal watercolor, so I totally reflect that in my designs. I also like the elements of nature, so sparkly water, the sunlight off of water, the elements of, the reflection of the sun off snow and ice. As I was working on the collection, I started thinking about our traditional value of no waste society and how we utilize all aspects of animals and plants. And so I decided to do a vintage upcycle or redesign to honor past designers as well as indigenized fashion from the past and reflect that theme. So really it has been very fun. I have some of my original pieces that I made with sustainable fabrics as well. So really looking at eco-friendly design and fashion. When you look at Alaska, or you're looking at the circumpolar north, the indigenous population really was a no-waste society. They utilized all aspects and they mimicked nature, so they were able to thrive in nature just like nature thrives. So when I look at fashion today, there is a lot of microplastics in our waters. There are a lot of microplastics in artificial fabrics. So really looking at sustainable fabrics that are more friendly to nature and from nature. So, different leathers and hides and skins. I have a lot of salmon skin leather in my collection. That is really reflective of we not only eat the salmon, but we use the skin for leather. And then I also have some earrings that I made that are from salmon vertebrae to really reflect that, all parts of the species they're resilient and they provide sustenance to us, so therefore we should be resilient and think about that consciously about sustainability.
The Far North Fashion Show, this is its 11th year. It's part of the feature of the Arctic Encounter Symposium, and the Far North Fashion Show features Alaska Native and Indigenous designers from around the Arctic. This is the Water Collection 2.0. It's based on inviting Alaska Native designers to create garments based on the element of water and their inspiration. So we've invited designers to invent, innovate, and get some inspiration from the element of water, because a lot of our rural Alaskan communities are based on oceans, seas, rivers, and sloughs.
I come from the Bering Sea, my people come from the Bering Sea, and I'm bringing my heritage out onto the runway in a contemporary manner. I want to share art and fashion that is not just like out there, like normal, typical out there, I don't know, I want to say basic, but I just design with thought and intention, and that's what's most important to me. And that helps create and tell a story through my people or my heritage or a certain aspect of where I come from. Water is life. I mean, that's part of everything, all aspects of living and breathing and existing. Water is who we are. That's how we live and survive and live through this world is water. We have to hydrate. We have to, we rely on sustenance from the ocean, from the water to keep, for food and nourishment. And I don't know, it's just a really big part of who we are and how we live as beings. Some of the inspiration that I have is inspired from gut parkas and like traditional hunting, like what they wore during hunting. And yeah, so a lot of that design is kind of like inspired by that.
Iñupiaq people were nomads, so they traveled based on resources, so they would go fishing, go berry picking, go moose hunting, and the people who are closest to where the Arctic ground squirrels go, well, they travel miles and miles to get to where they are. And so they're delicacy, they're delicious when you fire roast them. But majority of the time they hunt as much as they could, and they keep the meat, every part of it, the organs, the fur, and then they either give them away to family members or give them away to, and that was the way they did it a long time ago. They still do it this way, but they use different methods. They're the most lightest materials that you can use all year long. They're not waterproof, but they keep you warm any type of the season. So, and they're passed down from generation to generation, and they also have stories behind them. So if there was tassels like under here, which those don't have any, but normally, traditionally, there's tassels all over the place. And so those tassels represent warrior stories. And so the warrior, I don't know the specifics, but I can say the warrior, right? The tassels also could mean different things like arrows that went in, and there's usually red yarn. And so those are warrior stories. But for women, because they hear all the warrior stories in the village, so they can create a story through the parkas.
I brought 4 seal vests and hats and bow ties for everyone. It's the first time my daughter's doing it. I kind of had to twist her arm a little bit, but she agreed to do it. I started making these flat caps out of seal because nobody else was doing them, and I was wearing this style before, and I started making vests, mostly because I want to see more seal vests, and I want to see things that made out of seal that nobody's done before. I hunt them all, get them commercially tanned, sew them, and then market them. This is just a great opportunity to show more people my work. Oh, it's just fun. It's just fun to see new people and meet new faces, especially when the habitat's really small. So it's great to go out and explore and see new people and meet new people, see things, see all the different designers and the way they approach an idea is really neat to me. The belts are really inspiring out of fish skin and some other ones, the designs.
Their creative work tells stories of who they are and where they come from. Shows like this and other platforms across the country and around the world are elevating Indigenous designers.
Fashion is identity, and we want to identify like how we identify ourselves and where we come from. And I think that for a lot of like Indigenous fashion, it's important to tell the story of where we come from, because a lot of it has been erased and dismissed, and it's oftentimes just overlooked. And there's a lot of amazing Indigenous fashion out there. A lot of, like, for me, fashion is individualism, like being individual, like looking a certain way or not looking like somebody else. And I think with a lot of Indigenous fashion, like we're all unique in our own way and where we come from. And that is just that's a whole lot to offer across all of aspects of in being Indigenous.
Indigenous fashion is really important because we're giving a platform for Alaska Native and Indigenous designers. For many of them, they may see themselves as artists, but in this light, we're giving them a new language and a platform for calling themselves designers, garments, featuring them on the runway where they can gain experience, and this platform of all these international participants can come and see and celebrate Alaska Native art.
Most designers or most artists, I consider us all artists, have learned from someone or some lineage how to skin sew, how to harvest, how to transform and not waste. Those are part of our value system. So I think it's really important to highlight those in a world that is such a disposable society. I think it's really important to remember that in order for us to have sustainable life on planet Earth, we need to take care of her. So nurturing that thought process is really important to me. Remembering we come from an endless line of ancestry, as well as these values that are embedded into our DNA. And we forget that sometimes because we live in a fast-paced world and we go to work from 8 to 5 and we drive a car, and there's all these things that we do in Western society that draw us away from that connection to nature. So I would love if anyone who looked at any of my pieces said, oh, I see the connection, and I see that connection, that love for nature. That would make my heart happy.